Southland farmer whose partner gave birth to their baby on the side of a road says the Lumsden Maternity Centre needs to be reinstated immediately before there's a disaster in the community. The Southern DHB downgraded the centre last year, citing a lack of local demand, but the move prompted warnings that women would be forced to give birth on the side of the road. Now, Amanda McIvor gave birth to Levi, a healthy 10-pound baby boy, in an ambulance somewhere between Lumsden and Invercargill early on Sunday morning. The DHB CEO, Chief Chris Fleming, has drawn criticism for his comments that the system works well and an ambulance is a safe place to have a baby and people should just plan well ahead for delivery. Amanda's partner Gordon Cowie says the birth was complicated and stressful and it will happen to other mothers unless maternity services in the area are improved. Earlier today I spoke to Amanda and Gordon and asked them what happened.
I woke up at 4:30 in the morning with a pretty strong contraction, so I woke up my partner and said, look, I think we need to talk to the midwife. So we rang Sarah and she said, we'll come to Lumsden and we'll have a look. And by the time we'd left the house, it was about 5 o'clock-ish. We got to Lumsden about 5:20. And by then my contractions were already 3 minutes apart. So Sarah did a quick assessment and she said that we had to get the ambulance because baby was probably coming fairly quickly.
And how long was that drive going to be? Because you've already been 25 minutes on the road. How far is the next drive?
Well, from Lumsden to Invercargill was about an hour and a half.
Right. So
so
was Sarah, the midwife, optimistic at all that you were going to make it?
I don't think she thought we were going to make it, no.
Right, so she was preparing herself for a side-of-the-road delivery?
Yes. This one's my second. So with my first baby, we had a pretty serious bleed. I had to have 2 blood transfusions.
Wow.
So she was preparing for that outcome again. That's why she wanted me in the ambulance, so that there was oxygen to resuscitate and also an extra pair of hands because she was by herself at the maternity unit. There was no one else there to help her.
Now, this birth wasn't easy either. Your baby is a large baby, and there were some complications. So what happened?
Well, yeah, he was big, obviously, and an ambulance stretcher is not very wide, so that was the first uncomfortable part of it. Afterwards, I had a minor bleed again, but Sarah had a wee hemorrhage kit there that she was able to get that under control and got us on the road fairly quickly again to Invercargill so I could be assessed properly.
Right. How long were you there at the side of the road? Was it a long, tough labour?
Oh, I have to pass you to Gordon that one. I don't know.
No. You were focused on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, you got to the hospital okay, but what you're saying, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely.
Could have been a lot worse, definitely. Had that bleed been as bad, if not worse, than the first time round, there's a high possibility that she would not have made it.
And just letting our listeners know, this is Gordon now, so you're Amanda's partner, so you were the witness to the whole thing. Maybe you can tell us, how long was the stopover?
It felt like forever, but to be fair, it was probably half an hour.
Right.
It did happen very, very quickly. I was following behind, and we just basically made it out of the town boundary, and ambulance pulled over, and ambulance driver jumps out, flags me in, and just lets me know that it was all happening full on and fast.
Right.
Okay. I get in, and passed some gloves, and that's about the extent that I can really remember myself. It just happened so quickly.
And you were the second set of hands?
Not as such. I was just sort of there. I cut the cord, so just making sure no bacteria, obviously, but I was definitely there for a second or third set of hands if needed.
Good on you, Dad. And how's Bub? Bub doing okay?
Yeah, he's doing great. As Mandy said earlier, we've finally got a fairly settled night, so we're both feeling a lot better.
That's great. Hey, I wanted just to move to ask you now what you think of the Southern District Health Board's response. Chris Fleming has said, well, things are working fine. He says that the move to the hub is part of enhancing the health services across the district, and that was reviewed independently, and it was also reviewed by the Ministry of Health before they went ahead. So he seems to think everything's hunky-dory. What's your view?
Well, my view is what I've sort of thought about last night was how about we get him, we shove something up his nether region, throw him in the back of an ambulance and drive to Invercargill and see how uncomfortable it is.
Yes, Gordon, I think there's a lot of listeners, when we featured this story yesterday, there were a lot of listeners getting in touch with a similar sentiment. Yes, I think that's generally the response there. What I don't know, what will you challenge him, apart from those challenges, what are you challenging them to do in terms of reacting to this? In case there's other, it just sounds like with such a long distance between the maternity hub and the hospital, this could happen time and again.
And it's going to. There's no doubt about it. Like, it's only been 3 weeks and this is the first case already. Yeah, like I say, until something actually disastrously happens, I don't feel as though he's really going to change his tune. But, yeah, it's definitely not something I would like another family to have to go through. It's not nice. And then after all said and done, poor fathers, we have to drive behind the ambulance. It's a very long way when you're sitting in there quite worried as to what's actually happening. The midwife's flat out and she hasn't got time to text you or anything like that. And you're just left wondering the whole trip all the way back to Invercargill.
So what are you calling on the DHB to do? I mean, reinstate the full maternity service there at the hub?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Now, the thing is, if there's none of these other services available between Queenstown and Invercargill's going to get overrun, and there's not going to be the beds in Invercargill anyway.
Amazing. And so what are you going to do next time?
There is no next time.
There's no next time.
No.
That's it.
That's it, yep.
£10 was enough, I think.
It's Amanda McIvor and her partner Gordon Cowie speaking about the birth of their baby boy Levi, £10, over the weekend, and sending out a challenge to DHB CEO Chris Fleming.